A reading from the Gospel according to St. John. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. On the following day, when the people were standing on the other side of the sea, saw that there was no other boat there, except that one which his disciples had entered, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. However, other boats came from Tiberias near the place where they ate bread after the Lord had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they also got into boats and came to Capernaum, seeking Jesus. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Rabbi, when did you come here?" Jesus answered them and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw the signs, but because you ate the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him. And glory be to God forever. Amen." This story comes after the story of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, that great miracle which Christ performed. After he had spoken to them and given them instruction, he felt sorry for them, so he fed them, and they all ate and were filled, the Gospel says. Later on, Christ leaves, and he separates from his disciples for a little bit, as he was to do sometimes. And the people went looking for him. It was almost like they were stalking him, spying on him, trying to find out where he was. He all of a sudden had become very popular. And not necessarily because he turned 5 loaves and 2 fish into food which fed 5,000, but simply because he had fed them. And the people were looking for him, and in their hearts, they were looking for him so that they could eat. But they felt like they were looking for him for something else. They rationalized why they were looking for him. They said, "We're looking for him because he's blessed, because he does signs, because he says good words." But deep down in their hearts, the truth was they were looking for him because they were hungry and they wanted to eat. And oftentimes, we do this same thing. After we are grown a little bit, we realize very quickly that sometimes, in order to progress in this world, we have to pretend that we feel differently than how we really feel. And we become fake and different than what we're really trying to be or what we really should be. That's why the Lord said that if you wanted to be perfect, you would have to humble yourself like a child. Because a very young child, although it may be embarrassing to them, and they don't even know it, always says what they truly want. They never try to be sneaky about what they want. They say what they truly want. When they're hungry, they say that they're hungry, and they say it often, and they don't stop until they get it. And they don't fear this fakeness. They don't fear, and they don't try to be different than what they really are. Of course, the people had seen, and they had not seen, but they had heard about prophets throughout their whole life, prophets that could make wonders and do miraculous things. But they had never seen and followed someone that not only could do miraculous things, but could really read the insides, could really read their true hearts. So for the first time, their true hearts were revealed when they went and finally found Christ, and they looked at him and they said, "We've been looking for you. Where were you?" Almost as if they had finally found him, and they tried to pretend that they weren't really looking for him that much. It was almost like, Allah intahina, and Christ really knew what they were doing, so he told them, "You're not looking for me because of the signs that I did. You're looking for me because I fed you and you want to eat." And to be honest, that's fine. But he wanted to teach them a more important lesson. There is food on earth that we chase after our whole life. But there is something more important that comes in the hereafter. I'll read the verse that Christ told them again so that we can hear it again. "Most surely I say to you, you seek me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him. It's completely different than what we are used to, because our whole lives we do labor for the food. Our whole lives we work hard and we go to school, and then after we go to school and we study hard, we get jobs, hopefully good paying jobs, and we use those good paying jobs to go buy food, and we buy food for ourselves and for our family. And it goes on and on and on. Every day it's the same thing. We don't wake up in the morning because we're doing something extra important in the world, although we may think that we are. We wake up in the morning because we have to go to work so that we can make money, so that we can buy food and pay for food for ourselves and for our families. And to be honest, this is what we know. There's nothing too wrong with that. But when it becomes wrong is in two ways. The first way, like I said, is if we all of a sudden pretend we're something that we're not, or we pretend or we act differently than what we should act, or we try to be sneaky with the way that we are. The way that we are is what we are, and honesty is the most important thing, because you may not know what I really feel inside, but the Lord does. And so I, in my great fear of the Lord, am always paying attention to how I'm truly feeling, because there is one person that always knows how I feel. Whether I speak or not, whether I do things or not, he knows how I feel. So I have to be judging of myself. The other aspect of it is that, yes, we can work hard and do what we have to do and make money so that we can feed our children. But there is a more important factor about how we live. And that important factor is worrying about the food that comes after. Worrying about the food in heaven. And unfortunately, sometimes, when we worry so much about the food on earth, we lose track of the importance of what's coming for us in heaven, and what we may miss out on if we don't pay attention, if we don't work hard, if we don't focus on the food which is above. The church has done us then a great service when it prepares for us great fasts, so that not only are we focused on the heavenly, but it actually says don't even focus on the food. Stop focusing on the food. Stop worrying about what you're going to eat. Eat the same thing every day. Eat later on in the day, which we do during Lent, so that we can focus more on the heavenly. So this is in preparation for us to remember that soon we will embark on the great fast. And this great fast for us becomes a way to focus ourselves, a way to help us, a way that the church has put in so that we can really begin not to focus on the food anymore, because literally we're going to eat almost the same thing every day. But we can focus on the heavenly. We can focus on ourselves. We can focus on our hearts. We can focus on what we say and how we think. And we can focus on what truly matters in the world. Take this moment and gather yourselves in 2 weeks, in a week. In a week, we will be focusing not on food anymore, but on our lives, the food that comes hereafter, the food that's left for us, that's ready for us, the great feast in heaven. May the Lord give you all wisdom so that you can use this time to remember that what's important is two things. What I truly feel inside is what's real, it's what God knows. And the other thing is that we can focus on the food which perishes, but focus more importantly on the food which is coming, the food up in heaven. May the Lord give you the wisdom to focus on those two things, and may he grant you a blessed fast, and glory be to God.